You weren't supposed to be here. Not in this forgotten tomb. Not at this hour. And certainly not alone. The desert wind was howling just moments ago, but now there's a silence so deep it feels sacred. Your lantern flickers as you step deeper into the sandstone chamber. You don't remember falling asleep. You don't remember waking up. But the smell of dust and ancient linen fills your lungs, and a whisper soft as breath brushes past your ear. Something is here. Something watching. Egypt doesn't sleep, not really. Even in death, it remembers. And tonight, it remembers you, because this tomb, it's not on any map. The hieroglyphs aren't in any book. And what lies beneath the stone? Floor was never meant to be uncovered. This isn't just a tomb. It's a message left in time and you're about to read it. But first, before we go deeper, tell me, where are you listening from? What time is it? And are you safe and comfortable? If so, welcome to Whispers of History. Hit subscribe, and let's begin. You begin with the sarcophagus. Not the one in the center, no. That one's been smashed, plundered, left hollow. You kneel beside the one in the corner, half buried in sand, untouched. A faint gold shimmer clings to the rim. Hieroglyphs here aren't ordinary, they're arranged vertically, then spiral inwards. You've studied Egyptian symbols, but this is older, pre-dynastic, maybe. Even the priest-kings of Abydos wouldn't write like this. Your fingers trace a spiral carved in stone and suddenly the room chills. This tomb isn't just ancient, it's deliberately hidden, sealed before the pharaohs of the Nile ever claimed divinity. What kind of body was buried here? Away from the temples, away from the priests. You try to recall a story, yes, from the pyramid texts. A legend of a woman named Nefranka, a name forbidden to speak aloud. She was no queen, she was something else. A guardian of forgotten doors, and her door just creaked open, the wind changes. In Egypt, they call it the Kamsina dry, scorching breath of the desert that can stir hallucinations and madness. Ancient texts describe it as the time when the veil between worlds thins. Pharaohs would halt. Construction priests would remain indoors. Because the Kamsin wasn't just weather, it was the sky speaking. In the tomb, sand lifts in slow spirals as if the room itself exhales. You're not just a visitor now. You're part of the story. Beneath the wall's surface, your light reveals something strange, guardwork, not painted but burned into the stone. A figure cloaked in stars, her eyes blank, her arms open. Above her, an unknown constellation. Not Orion, not Sirius. Something erased from the sky. You'll recall a 1907 dig report, dismissed as fantasy, where a British archaeologist described an astral queen worshipped beneath Thebes. The report vanished. He went mad, but tonight, you see her, and she sees you. Your lantern sputters, then dies. But the darkness here doesn't feel empty, feels aware. You remember reading about dream incubation chambers. Ancient Egyptians believed certain tombs, especially those untouched, could act as conduits to divine wisdom. Priests and pharaohs would sleep inside them to receive visions from gods. What if this isn't just a tomb? What if it's one of those chambers? The walls hum faintly. You press your palm to a stone panel, and it shifts, opening not with force, but with invitation. Behind it, a narrow tunnel sloping downward, lined with black stone etched with silver glyphs. These aren't Egyptian. Not exactly. They're proto-cuneiform Mesopotamian. Why would Sumerian writing be here? No one ever mentioned trade this deep. You realize the myth of Aset's temple beneath the Nile, once dismissed, is real. You step into the tunnel, knowing once you go down, there may be no way back up. But something below is calling. The air shifts, it smells not of decay, but frankincense and blue lotus, perfumes of the priestesses of Hathor in ancient texts. The scent of blue lotus was used to guide spirits between worlds. The hallway opens into a chamber lit by natural bioluminescent steiny crystals in the ceiling, absorbing light and casting a soft, bluish glow. It's here you see them. Carvings of noble women, each holding another woman, close concubines. No companions. Their hands are joined in ritual. And between them, an object that sends chills through you. A black obsidian mirror. Mirrors were not vanity tools in Egypt, they were portals, symbols of rebirth and inner sight. Priestesses used them to summon memory. As you approach, your reflection twists your face, replaced by another's bronze skin, kohl-rimmed eyes, a crown of papyrus. The mirror shows you a woman lost to time, or reborn in your steps. You are not the first to walk these halls, but will you be the last? A whisper returns. Ren, your name. Speak, your Ren. In ancient Egypt, a soul had 5 parts. The Ren, or name, was its anchor. If erased, you ceased to exist in both worlds. Tomb robbers feared this more than curses. Names were power. The carvings around you are names, thousands of them, swirling like river eddies across the wall. Some are scratched out, others glow faintly. One pulses beneath your fingertips. You speak it, and the walls groan open. Inside is a burial room, like no other. No gold, no canopic jars, just silence. And in the center, a stone table, carved with a map of the stars, not as they are now, but as they were before the dynasties. The stars trace a serpenter, cosmic Ouroboros. You recall the forbidden myth of the daughter of Jehuti, a time-traveler goddess who could speak to the stars. They say she sleeps until her name is spoken. You just spoke it. A deep hum rises through the floor. You kneel beside the map and realize it aligns with real sites. Saqqara, Abydos, Amarna, but one is missing. A blank space in the Nile's curve, marked only by a symbol. A broken eye. You feel your heart race. That's the symbol found in 1934 by Flinders Petrie, hidden under Luxor's oldest temple. He called it the eye that sleeps. His team fell sick. His journal entries stopped. The excavation was sealed. Tonight, you found the other half. This tomb was a map, and the map points to something that was never supposed to rise again. A voice echoes not aloud, but inside you. Do you seek knowledge, or do you seek escape? You should turn back. You should run. But the truth is, you've never felt more awake. Whatever lies ahead was meant for you, and the only way forward now is deeper. Your foot lands on something softer than stone. Linen. You look down too. Fine footprints, feminine, fresh, still damp with dew. But there is no moisture here. The prints lead through another tunnel, one too narrow to stand in. Crawling forward, you begin to hear singing, a woman's voice, lilting in a dialect you don't recognize. The walls are warm, pulsing like breath, and ahead, a faint green light. You emerge into a shrine carved entirely from malachite, the sacred stone of Hathor and protectress of women. Inside stands a statue unlike anything recorded, half lioness, half woman, her belly round, her eyes weeping. Offerings lie at her feet, dried roses, pieces of obsidian, locks of human hair. This was no state temple. This was personal worship. For women forgotten by time, for pain never named aloud, and yet their prayers remain, humming in your bones. You're not intruding. You're being welcomed home. Behind the shrine lies the final door of this level, an obsidian slab with a single word carved: Sekhem, power, strength, but also spirit energy. You recognize the term from temple records, used to describe the spiritual essence within a person. What if this chamber isn't just a map, but a ritual machine? Ancient Egyptians believed in activating spirit with sound, scent, symbols. Everything you've seen, Blue Lotus, sacred geometry, star alignments, leads here. You place your palm to the door, and your heartbeat sinks with a low vibration rising from the floor. Then it opens. Inside, a perfectly circular room glows gold. In its center, a chair made of electrum, and seated in it motionless is a woman draped in linen, wearing a headdress of reeds and lapis. Her eyes open. They are yours. You don't scream, you only exhale, because somehow you always knew you'd meet yourself here. She speaks without lips, not in language, but in memory, and you understand her not with your ears, but with your blood. Her presence wraps around your bones like linen soaked in centuries. You are sitting across from her, this echo of yourself, this figure clothed in stars and sand. The chamber glows not with fire, but with resonance. Frequencies notes once played in temple ceremonies pulsed through the air. This isn't hallucination, it's activation. You remember a papyrus fragment from the Book of the Dead found beneath Karnak Temple that described this exact moment. When the bar meets itself, the two roads open. One road leads outward back to the desert, to waking life. The other leads inward through veils, into realms that never existed physically but were realer than death. She lifts her hand and points to your chest. Ren, she whispers again, the name buried under names. And you remember. But only partly. You try to speak. The air turns thick, fragrant with myrrh and tamarisk. Behind the throne, a carved wall begins to shift. Not with machinery, but with memory. The stone becomes soft, like smoke, and through it, a scene unfolds. A priestess in white kneels beside a Nile branch that no longer exists. She's holding a scroll. You recognize the sigil, the spiral, the forbidden glyphs. She's sealing it in a jar and placing it under a column. Her lips move. Let her find it when the stars reverse. The scene fades. That scroll was real. You saw it once in a museum catalogue in Geneva, never displayed, dated to pre-dynastic Nakada. 2. It was lost in shipment, or stolen. But now you know where it rests, under the western pylon of Dendora Temple, where Hathor waits. And now the woman's gaze returns to you. She's not asking, she's waiting. For your choice, the chair she sat on is now empty. She's gone, or you've absorbed her. The air shivers. The obsidian door behind you shuts. And the only way forward now lies through a stone corridor lined with cartouches scratched out. That's rare. Egyptian royalty preserved names, not erased them. You pass one, you half recognize Mernith, a female ruler whose name was suppressed, who ruled as king but buried without acknowledgement. Another cartouche bears no name, only a spiral and 2 moons. You recall a 1912 article in the Egyptian Gazette. French archaeologist found twin amulets in Fayum, engraved with that same spiral. He called them the twin eyes of she who sleeps. He vanished 3 weeks later. His notebook never recovered. You wonder now, was it myth? Or was he simply too close? The further you walk, the clearer it becomes. This isn't a tomb, it's a gatehouse, and something behind it still breathes. You reach a platform overlooking an underground chamber that should be geologically impossible. The ceiling is domed, formed from black granite, yet sparkles like night sky. This isn't architecture, it's cosmic mimicry. Ancient Egyptians didn't separate Earth from cosmos. Temples were star charts, hieroglyphs were equations, and this was their engine of memory. In the center is a basin not for water, but for light. Mirrors made of polished hematite are arranged in a perfect loop around it. Each reflects a pinhole of sunlight funneled from above. Together, they create a shape, the Eye of Ra, but inverted, the eye that watches back. As you descend, a stone tablet reveals this chamber's name, Hetsakim Nefret, House of the Beautiful. Power. It was never mentioned in papyrus, never listed in maps. It was meant to be found only by those who could remember without proof. And now, that person is you. You step into the center. As your shadow crosses the basin, a deep vibration rises. The air crystallizes. And suddenly, not alone, 6 figures surround you, silent, unmoving. They wear jackal masks, not painted, not theatrical, real bone. They are dressed as priests of Anubis, but their movements are too precise, too fluid. You want to speak, but your throat locks. One approaches and hands you an object, a vessel shaped like a heart. It's beating, not with blood, but with light. They are not threatening, they are waiting for you to decide. The heart ceremony was sacred, not just in death, but in transformation. In myth, your heart is weighed against a feather truth itself, but this heart isn't yours. It belongs to the woman you met, the one you may become. The choice is simple: place the heart in the basin, or take it and flee. But either way, something ancient will wake. You place the heart in the basin, light spirals upward. Symbols ignite on the walls, ancient texts in the voice of gods. They speak of Keret Nedrat, the hidden daughters of the divine. Women trained not for marriage, but for memory. They were scribes, healers, and timekeepers. Their role was erased when kings consolidated power. But their sanctuaries small, off the grid survived. This chamber was one of them. The last one. And now you know why you were brought here. Not as a tourist. Not as a scholar. But as a vessel of remembrance. A guardian of what should never be erased. As the ritual completes, the jackal figures dissolve into sand. The dome above opens to reveal the sky, not the modern sky, but the heavens of 5000 BCE. The stars are brighter. The constellations strange. You're seeing through time. And in that moment, the veil drops completely. You are in Egypt, but not the one you came from. You now walk among women, real, alive, but clothed in linen and light. They whisper to each other. Some nod to you. Others vanish like smoke. One approaches. She wears the headdress of a Kanamat, a singer of the inner temple. She places her hands on your head. Do you choose to carry the wren? She asks. You nod before you understand what that means. And suddenly, you do. You remember chants you've never learned. You see scenes your past lives. In flashes, you are both here and elsewhere. In Abydos, in Alexandria, on a ship that never made landfall. The veil lifts, and you see not history, but connection, that these stories were always yours, waiting for you to listen. The woman smiles. Then let the next gate open. Behind her, a spiral of symbols glows your map forward. You're no longer exploring. You are activating memory carved into your soul. The next room is small, low-ceilinged, full of scent papyrus, date wine, beeswax. It feels like someone's home. On a table, scrolls are half open, their ink still wet. One describes a ceremony to summon Hathor under the eclipse. Another tells of a priestess who could enter dreams. These aren't relics, they're living records. You realize the truth. This place isn't abandoned, it's timeless. It exists outside chronology. You could stay here forever, but a sound draws. You back a steady, rhythmic drum. Not mechanical, not threatening, a heartbeat, yours or hers. You follow it to a final chamber, empty, save for one object, a mirror, the same obsidian surface. But this time, it shows not reflection, but possibility. You see flashes of your modern life, your desk, your phone, your doubts, but overlaid, the eyes of someone ancient, the eyes of you, remembered. And in that silence, you ask one question. Did this really happen? And the mirror answers. You don't remember walking, but you've arrived. A room built in impossible geometry lies ahead. Its walls aren't flat, but curve like the inside of a seashell. You move along spirals carved into the stone, your feet instinctively following. The pattern. This is no accident. You recall ancient texts that mention sacred resonance chambers, places where shape and sound were aligned to unlock memory. The Great Pyramid was long believed to contain one, but what you're standing in now makes those theories seem small. Here, a hum rises not from machines, but from the architecture itself. The walls are vibrating, low and deep, like a heartbeat. Beneath the sand, you whisper your name, and it echoes but not your voice. A different one, older, and it calls you by a title you've never heard. Daughter of the Black Canal. That name exists in only one source, a forgotten tomb fragment lost during the 1910s. But now, it speaks to you. You follow the vibration. To its source, a circle carved into the floor, pulsing with light. Inside it, a single ankh-shaped staff floats defying gravity. You hesitate. Stories flood your memory. Herodotus once wrote of a staff held by the priestess of Sais, said to unlock the place where the gods descend. The passage was mocked by historians. No artifact was ever found, but now, it floats before you. You reach for it. The moment your fingers touch the shaft, the walls around you flicker, and suddenly, you see a vision, not dream, not memory, something else. You stand atop a city not made of stone, but of light pillars of gold and silver shimmer like fire. And in the sky, a ship not like any you've seen hovers silently. You blink, and it's gone. But the question lingers. Was this prehistory? Was Egypt built atop something older than itself? You hold the staff tight. It pulses in your hand, and suddenly you feel it pulling, not physically but spiritually. It draws your steps to the far wall where symbols flash in sequence. You recognize one, an ancient sign of Neith, the goddess of war and creation. She was said to have existed before the beginning, when even the gods had not yet named themselves. A temple to Neith once stood in Sais, a city now buried under farmland. The 6th century Greek scholar Solon claimed he was told there of a land beyond the sea. Atlantis. Was it myth, or a message passed secretly through Neith's priestesses? You brush your fingers across her symbol, and the wall shifts again. Behind it, a staircase of polished basalt descending into cold mist. The staff glows brighter. This is no longer a tomb. It's a journey across worlds, and you're the only one who can walk it now. Your breath fogs in the air. This level is colder. The floor feels damp, not with water but condensation, like something alive is resting below. Torches light themselves in sequence as you walk forward, casting shadows that don't quite match your form. The corridor leads to a chamber filled with scrolls, thousands stacked in impossible grids that defy physics. Some scrolls float mid-air, suspended by magnetism or will. You're inside a library, but one never mentioned in Egyptian history. Could this be the true Parank, the House of Life? A mythical archive said to be kept beneath the temples of Thoth. You scan a scroll. Its ink is luminous. The language is Proto-Semitic, older than anything found in Egypt proper. It tells of a queen who ruled in silence, commanding memory, not war. She wore no crown, only a mirror, and her name, Ekaret, the last keeper. The scroll ends with a warning: do not awaken what she buried. A gust of wind slams the scroll shut, but there's no wind here. You turn, and a woman stands at the end of the hall. Not a vision, not a spirit. She's real, breathing, blinking, dressed in linen, dark as obsidian. Her eyes shine like the stars above the Red Sea. She says nothing but gestures for you to follow. You hesitate. This isn't just another echo. This is a watcher, a guardian of the space. You remember stories from Bedouin elders of women who wander the ruins, beautiful, ageless, disappearing without footprints. The villagers call them the Sisters of Dust. Some think they're spirits, others protectors. She turns again, and you follow, down another staircase, into the lowest chamber yet. There, in the center, lies a giant stone egg carved with thousands of names, each wrapped in symbols of rebirth. This is no tomb. It's an incubator of souls, and one of them is yours. The woman kneels before the egg. She places her hand on a carved circle and whispers, "Your name, not the name you use today, but the one buried beneath." The stone hums. Symbols light up, forming a constellation above your head. It's not in any known star chart, but in 2010, a team in the Sinai desert claimed to see unmapped constellations during a sandstorm. They lost all equipment in a fire. Later that night, their report was buried. But tonight, those same stars burn above you. The woman turns to you, finally speaking. You were never meant to find this, but now that you have, you must decide: remember everything or forget completely. You feel your memories stirring, old lives resurfacing like silt in water. She holds out her hand. If you take it, you cross into something irreversible. But if you refuse, everything you've seen will vanish like smoke. What will you choose? You take her hand. Light bursts from the egg, and a sound unlike any you've heard, like 1,000 temple bells struck at once, fills the chamber. Your ears ring, but your vision sharpens. You see memories, not just of your own life, but of others. You are a water bearer in Thebes, a priestess in Edfu, a servant who steals scrolls to read in secret, a concubine hidden in a queen's chamber. You are every woman who was told to stay silent, and now you are the voice that will remember them. The light settles. The woman is gone, but she has left you something, a necklace of electrum and lapis with a scarab seal. You know where it leads, back to the surface. But first, one final chamber calls you, a vault labeled only with one word: truth. Inside may lie the answer to the greatest Egyptian mystery of all, and you're about to uncover it. You enter a domed room that echoes endlessly. Here, inscriptions spiral like galaxies. At the center stands a crystal sarcophagus, filled not with a body, but with water, floating inside it, a rolled scroll bound in gold. You approach slowly. You remember the myth of the final record, a prophecy said to be written during the reign of Pharaoh Akhenaten, who tried to erase Egypt's old gods. The record was hidden, for it told of a time when the gods would return, not from heaven, but from below. That scroll now floats before you. As you lift it, the water glows. Your reflection becomes clearer not of who you are, but who you once were. You read aloud the first line. The one who wakes the stars will forget the sun. You pause. A decision must be made. The scroll can be sealed away forever, or opened. Either way, your life will never be the same again. You unseal the scroll, and the stars above you begin to spin. The scroll dissolves, not in your hands, but in your mind. As you read the last line, the symbols unravel like threads of gold, not vanishing, but embedding themselves inside your memory. You are now their carrier, the scribe they waited for. Across centuries, the sarcophagus empties, the water evaporates, and something behind you shifts. A door you hadn't seen now opens, leading upward. You ascend slowly, barefoot, as the stone beneath your feet warms with each step. The deeper you breathe, the more the tomb exhales, with you like it's alive, like it's grateful. You remember an old priest's whisper from a museum recording. When the tomb breathes, the traveler has become the vessel. You reach a chamber filled with wind. A gust of desert air pours in from a crevice. You're above ground. But this isn't where you entered. This is somewhere else. Somewhere unmapped. And that's when you see the figure waiting in the light. He's dressed in linen robes, face veiled, holding a crook carved from petrified wood. He doesn't speak, but gestures for you to follow. You do. There's no fear, only deep knowing. This part of the journey is a rite few have returned from. You're walking a path made long before the pharaohs, before temples, before script. He leads you through columns carved with patterns that seem to shimmer in sunlight, though there is no sun. Just ambient gold hanging in the air like memory. You recall the concept of the Duat, the Egyptian underworld, not as a place of torment, but of trials where the soul was tested. The man pauses, then vanishes into light. But in his place stands a massive mirror again. This one is cracked. It doesn't show your reflection. It shows your absence. You place your hand on it, and the cracks heal. The mirror whispers, "Return to the world, but do not forget me." You wake up, not gasping, not jolting, but slowly, as if surfacing from water. You're lying beside the Nile. The stars are gone, the wind is calm, and in your hand is the electrum necklace. It wasn't a dream, but the world feels unchanged, lewd, hurried, ancient only on postcards. You dust yourself off and stand. The city lights of modern Luxor shimmer nearby. In the distance, you hear a call to prayer. The magic feels like it's slipping away, but you know better. Egypt doesn't lose her secrets. She plants them in people, and they bloom when the time is right. You walk toward the road and hail a cab. The driver doesn't ask questions. You clutch the necklace, your mind flooded with chants and visions, rituals and names. The scroll may have dissolved, but the story hasn't ended. It's only beginning. And now, you carry it, just like those before you. 2 weeks pass. You're back home. Modern life wraps around you like a fog. But everything feels thinner. Emails blur. Time slips. Night feels heavier. And then one morning, you receive a package. No sender. Inside, a photo. Faded. Cracked. It shows the chamber you stood in, the crystal sarcophagus, the scroll. Dated 1939. Signed, Dr. Elizabeth H. Rains. You freeze. That name is familiar. You search and find a footnote in a 1962 expedition report. She claimed to have entered an unknown chamber beneath the temple of Seti. I know photos survived. She was declared insane. Disappeared in Cairo. No body ever found. But here's her photo of your vision. She was there, before you. And someone knows you were too. There's no fear, only certainty. You're not the only one to return from the tomb. But few could translate what they saw. That is now your purpose. And the scroll begins rewriting itself in your dreams. Your nights are no longer restful, but not from terror, from activation. In sleep, the tombs open again, but this time they show you records, forgotten cities, submerged temples, star maps left unaligned. One night, you wake and sketch a symbol. The next day, you find it matches. A carving found in Göbekli Tepe, 1,000 years older than the pyramids. You whisper chants you shouldn't know. You dream in hieroglyphs, and slowly your mind shifts. You're not learning, you're remembering. You visit a museum and find yourself instinctively correcting the plaques. You sense which relics are fake, which ones are misnamed. You touch a sarcophagus and feel it speak. It's as though your soul has synced with Egypt's long memory. You realize then, the tomb didn't just show you the past. It merged with you, and what lives inside you now is not a myth. It is a living history waiting to be reawakened. A scholar contacts you, an Egyptologist from Alexandria. He says your name appeared in a recent temple excavation in a cartouche. Impossible, he says. You laugh. Not impossible, just overdue. He shows you the symbol. It's your necklace, the scarab, the spiral, the dual stars, and next to it your name. Not your current one, your Ren. He invites you to return. We think we've uncovered the entrance to something old, unregistered, untouched. You know exactly what he means. The tomb didn't call you once. It calls in cycles. You agree. The return feels inevitable. You land in Cairo, then take the train south. But something inside you is different. You're not just visiting anymore. You're part of this lineage, this unspoken priesthood. You don't walk into Egypt. You reawaken it. And this time, the tomb won't just test you. It will open completely. Back in the Valley of the Kings, the sun feels hotter, but you walk with purpose. The excavation site is silent. The scholar meets you at the entrance to a new shaft, narrow, spiral, untouched by air. We haven't gone down yet, he says. We're waiting for someone with sensitivity. You nod. The moment your foot touches the stone, a vibration hums through your spine. It recognizes you. The shaft descends deeper than the rest. Torchlight reveals walls carved with solar codes, glyphs, representing not words, but tones. These are keys, not records. You recall the scroll's final line. She who awakens the stars will forget the sun. You reach the bottom, another obsidian door. It opens for you alone. Inside, the same mirror, the same air, the same song. You are not repeating the past. You are continuing it. And the next tomb is not under sand. It's under skin. Yours, you. Kneel, the room darkens, but you're not afraid. You've done this before, in lifetimes you can't place. You light incense. Place the scroll-shaped scarab in the center. And you speak, not in English, not in Arabic, but in the ancient language. You dreamed in. The room responds. Symbols light up. The ground shudders. And behind the mirror, a doorway opens, not to a tomb, but to a chamber made of sky. Stars swirl. Winds rush. Time stretches. And in that infinite space, 1,000 women stand. Priestesses, healers, guardians, all who walked this path. They bow to you, you to them. And together, you speak one line. We are the memory that refuses to die. The chamber seals. The tomb returns to silence. But now, you carry the stars. The Ren. The record. And Egypt, finally, sleeps within you. But not forever. Because one night, someone else will wander too far from camp. We'll hear the whisper of linen brushing stone. We'll step into a chamber lit by stars, and there, they will find your name glowing. On the wall, a message, a map, a memory, and they will know you were here. Tonight, the stars arrive before sleep. You lie in your room, curtains drawn, the hum of the world distant and, yet your body feels wrapped in desert warmth. The silence around you is different now. It listens. You think of Egypt, not as a place you visited, but as something that woke inside you. Its sands, its tombs, its buried songs. They weren't outside. They were locked beneath the noise of modern life. Now they whisper clearly. The sacred name still hums in your chest. Your dreams no longer feel like fiction. They feel like instructions, echoes of something unfinished. Tonight, you close your eyes, not with fatigue, but with purpose. You're not drifting into rest. You're descending, returning. Because Egypt is never truly in the past. It's layered, cyclical, alive. And when it calls again, you'll hear it. You always do, because once awakened, the memory never dies. It simply waits in your sleep. The sand returns. It flows round your feet, not dry, not hot, but like a cloak. A temple rises in the distance. One you've never seen before. Its entrance shaped like an open mouth. You walk toward it without fear. The walls are etched with names you recognize. No, not from books, but from your own bones. Women who held the scroll before you, who walked these paths silently, century after century. They were never written into the records, but they carried them in touches, in stories whispered over cooking fires, in rituals done in secret, with no witnesses but the moon. You feel their hands on your back, guiding you. You enter the temple, alone but not unaccompanied. Their presence hums in every stone. This temple is not made of limestone or granite. It's made of remembrance. And tonight, it opens only for you. You reach the altar. At its center lies a mirror obsidian again. But this time, it doesn't reflect light. It reflects lineage. You see the faces of women you've never met, but who know you. Some smile, some cry, some nod in silence. These are the ones who carried the wren before you, your predecessors, the keepers. You see one dressed in Nubian gold, another in Greco-Egyptian robes, one in Roman silks, another in Ottoman shadows. You realize now, Egypt didn't end. It transformed, passing its memory through the unseen line of women who defied erasure. You are part of that legacy, not chosen by blood, but by resonance. You touched the scroll not by accident, but by alignment. And now, the mirror asks, will you leave something behind? A message, a mark, a memory. Because those who follow need more than history. They need proof that someone was brave enough to remember. You speak aloud your truth, not as a scholar, not as a mystic, but as someone who saw the layers beneath the sand, who walked through illusion and found what was buried not in ruins, but in self. Your voice doesn't echo, it expands. Each word becomes a symbol, etched into the air, then carved softly into the walls around you. You are adding to the archive not of facts, but of feeling. You are leaving behind remembrance as a living act. The altar glows. A scroll appears, this one blank. It rolls open, waiting. You dip your finger into the ink pot beside it. Gold ink, like sunlight. And you write not a sentence, but a symbol. Yours, a combination of every glyph that spoke to you. It locks into place on the parchment. The scroll rolls itself shut and vanishes, stored somewhere only those who remember can reach. As the altar fades, the temple dissolves, but you feel no loss, because it's not ending, it's integrating. The sand flows upward now, spiraling into stars. You rise with it, gently, held by gravity's twin, memory. You hear the chant again, the one that began this journey. It no longer sounds foreign. It sounds like home. The wind sings in three voices, the past, the present, and the possible. And they harmonize through you. You open your hands. The scarab necklace reappears, glowing with gentle warmth. It's not a relic, it's a key. Not just for tombs, but for remembering who you've always been. As your body lifts higher into this dream sky, you realize you are no longer walking Egypt. You are woven into it. In every myth, every pillar, every half-buried statue, you are written into the landscape. Back in waking life, your feet still ache. You walk differently now. Not in posture, but in presence. You carry yourself like someone who's touched forgotten temples. Your friends notice. They ask what changed. You smile, just a trip, you say. But part of you knows that language can't hold this truth. So instead, you write, you paint, you hum. You leave breadcrumbs for others to follow, just like she did for you. You visit museums now not as a guest, but as an observer. You spot the false dates. You feel which objects were never meant to be displayed. You speak softly to certain statues, and sometimes they whisper back, because memory isn't only in the mind, it lives in form. And when you touch a piece of Egypt now, Egypt touches you back. One night, years later, a stranger contacts you. They saw your art, read your story, traced your symbol, and now they dream of deserts, of scrolls, of black mirrors glowing under starless skies. Am I losing my mind? They ask, and you smile, because you remember that fear, that beauty, that burning knowing. You don't give them answers, you give them direction. Go, you say. She's waiting, and somewhere in Luxor, another soul hears the call, steps into shadow, follows the path, and finds the same chamber. You left your mark for them, and they will leave it for another. This is how Egypt lives, not in static sand, but in awakened blood, one whisper at a time. The tomb never truly closes. It breathes, just like the Nile, just like memory. When people forget, it sleeps. When people return, it wakes. The scroll is passed. The names are respoken. And in the silence of the night, beneath a sky that has watched for 5,000 years, another girl closes her eyes and hears it. Linen against stone, papyrus unrolling, the heartbeat of a land older than language, and in that heartbeat, you echo, not as myth, not as legend, but as proof that the mystery was never separate from the seeker. You were never just visiting Egypt. You were always part of her. And so, as you fall asleep tonight, know this, you did not imagine it. You remembered, and memory is the greatest mystery of all.